This is Untold Bible Stories, and today we look at a side of Paul many people rarely discuss. Not his letters, not his missionary journeys, not his public authority, but his solitude, the quiet cost of a man who gave himself completely to a calling. Imagine standing in a cold Roman cell, knowing there may be no wife waiting for you, no children running toward you, no ordinary home to return to. For Paul, celibacy was not a romantic idea. It was a demanding life, a life of travel, danger, rejection, and loneliness. But here is the important truth. The Bible does not give us every private detail about Paul's life. We must be careful. Paul embraced a life of radical availability. We know Paul speaks as an unmarried man in 1 Corinthians 7, but Scripture does not fully tell us whether he had never married, or whether he was once married and later alone. That choice came with a cost. Many people imagine Paul as a hard, unemotional theologian, a man of doctrine, argument, and authority. But when you read his letters carefully, you see something more human. He speaks of tears, anxiety for the churches, deep affection, disappointment, and longing. Paul was not a machine of ministry. He was a human being, and that matters, because sacrifice only matters when the person sacrificing actually feels the weight of what they gave up. In the ancient world, marriage was family structure, social stability. Marriage was legacy, a protection, and also an identity. To be unmarried was not always viewed as normal. It could mean social vulnerability. It could mean emotional isolation. And it could mean giving up the expected path of household, children, and inheritance. So when Paul speaks about remaining unmarried, he is not describing an easy escape. He is describing a life. Paul is describing a life focused with unusual intensity, a life with fewer domestic attachments, but also fewer ordinary comforts. Every calling has a cost. In 1 Corinthians 7, Paul recognizes and speaks highly of marriage. He does not condemn marriage. He does not treat family life as weakness, in fact, as honorable and necessary for many. But he also says something radical, that the unmarried person can be concerned with the things of the Lord in a different way. Not better in human worth, not superior in dignity, but unmarried person is freer in availability. And this is where Paul's life becomes educational. He understood that every calling has a cost. Marriage has responsibilities, singleness has burdens, and ministry demands honesty about both. Paul's life required movement, city to city, ship to ship, prison to prison. He faced beatings, riots, shipwrecks, hunger, and constant danger. Now imagine carrying a family through that, a spouse, children, a household depending on you. Paul's unmarried life allowed him to move quickly, to take risks, to suffer without dragging a family through every danger. That freedom was not free. It meant nights alone. It meant no ordinary family rhythm. It meant giving his emotional energy to churches. That often misunderstood him. Paul's letters were not written from comfort. Behind the theology, there is a man trying to hold communities together, while carrying his own invisible burdens. He writes like a father. To churches he helped form. He corrects them, warns them, encourages them, and sometimes spiritual leadership often creates a strange loneliness. You are surrounded by people, but still carry things. Few truly understand. You can feel the pain in his letters. Every meaningful life requires sacrifice. Calling is not identical for everyone. For some, it looks like building a family. For others, it looks like remaining unusually available for a mission. But we need to be careful. This story should never be used to shame marriage or glorify loneliness. The educational lesson is that every meaningful life requires sacrifice, and wisdom means knowing what your calling requires from you. Paul's celibacy was not emptiness. It became focus. What he did not pour into a biological household, he poured into spiritual communities, letters and teachings that would outlive him. That is the paradox. The man who may never have had children of his own became a spiritual father to generations. Sacrifice can be redirected into something eternal. Paul's story asks a difficult question. What are you willing to surrender for what you believe matters most? Everyone is called to examine what they are building their life around. Comfort, approval, security, or purpose. Paul's sacrifice was costly, lonely, and deeply human. But through that sacrifice, the early church was strengthened, and history was changed. Every calling has a cost. This is Untold Bible Stories. If you enjoy thoughtful biblical documentaries, subscribe for more untold stories, history, and deep human lessons from Scripture.